In this brief video, I wanted to provide some highlights for you for Unit 1. In no way am I covering all the material that you will be required to know from Unit 1. I'm just going to go through each lesson and pull out a few highlights to review. In Lesson A, one of the tasks that you were assigned was to recognize the difference between an argument and an explanation. Let's consider a couple new examples. Suppose I say to you that I like to swim. I go on to say that I like to swim because it's low impact, it gives me aerobic exercise, and it gives me exercise for the entire core muscles and major muscles of the body. Now that's not an argument. I'm not trying to convince you of the truth that I like to swim. It's granted, I trust that you accept that claim when I make it. In contrast, consider the following. Suppose I say to you that swimming is a better exercise than running. I go on to say that running causes stressful impacts on the knees and other joints, whereas swimming does not. That running does not provide good exercise for your core muscles, whereas swimming does. In this case, I am providing an argument. I'm giving you reason to believe that swimming is a better exercise than running. That's just one of the things to know from Lesson A. In Lesson B, the topic was language. One of the things that you are expected to know from Lesson B is the difference between vagueness and ambiguity. I'll let you review that. Another thing was to be able to classify definitions. What you will be given in the exam are examples of definitions and then a multiple choice questions on which type of definition is being provided. In Lesson C, we have probably the most important material in terms of continuing use. The material that we introduce in Lesson C will be useful for the rest of the course. And what we have is an initial classification of arguments, the distinction between inductive and deductive arguments. Let's quickly review that distinction. Inductive arguments are such that if the premises are true, the conclusion is likely to be true or probably true. Deductive arguments, on the other hand, are such that if the premises are true, the conclusion must be true. That is the case at least for valid deductive arguments, and we will restrict our topic here to valid deductive arguments. Let's consider an example of an inductive argument. Inductive reasoning is the most common kind of reasoning. It's the kind of reasoning we use in everyday life. We use it in science. We use it in criminal investigation. Suppose there is a crime committed and the perpetrator is found to be over 6'4", wearing a University of Illinois hat, and red high-top Nike tennis shoes. We pick up that information from a security camera. We go back to the suspects that have been identified, and we find that only one of them is over 6'2". We also find that that individual owns a University of Illinois hat and is known to commonly wear red Nike high-top tennis shoes. We now have good reason to believe that we've found our perpetrator. However, our information does not guarantee that we have our perpetrator. Our reasoning is inductive. In contrast, deductive arguments, when they are valid, are such that if the premises are true, the conclusion must be true. I do want you to know that definition. It's one of these rare cases when you should memorize it. However, being able to understand and use the definition is what is most important. Let's give one more example of a deductive argument. Suppose I say to you that all insects have 6 legs. This individual spider has 8 legs. Therefore, this spider is not an insect. That is a deductive argument, is a deductively valid argument, and in fact, it is a sound argument. Not only is it valid, such that if the premises are true, the conclusion must be true, it is sound, that is, the premises are in fact true, which guarantees the truth of the conclusion according to our definition of validity. Again, not only do I expect you to know the definitions and have those memorized, but to be able to use them, to apply them, to identify what kinds of arguments are given, and to be able to answer true-false statements about validity and soundness. As you've neared the end here of Unit 1, good luck on the first exam, and again, let me know if you have any questions.